All right, everybody, welcome back for another episode of The Brody Show. Last time I did a bad job of introducing it. Forgive me. I'm a new host to all this show stuff and all that. So I'm going to properly introduce the Brodie'S on this show. So to my left is my one and only brother, my older brother, if you were asking, is Oscar. His Instagram name, I guess we'll go by Instagram name, is Future Oscar on Instagram. But on Twitter, he's Present Oscar. Oh, wait, he's not Future Oscar anymore. He goes through different stages of his life. So what's your Instagram?
It's Oscar.meetsworld.
Oscar.meetsworld, which is a play on our thrift shop that we have, Mr. Matthew's Closet. But that's here nor there. Then to the bottom of me, we got the one and only Manny P.
Let's go, baby.
Manny, how are you doing today?
Doing great, bro. Happy to be here with you guys.
Awesome. So he's my brother from another mother. But all of our social media, if you want to follow us, we post some good stuff, will be in the description below. So today we have a different type of episode today. We're not going to be talking about sports. So those who are tired of hearing Oscar's ludicrous opinions and hot takes of the playoffs, of sports, and all that, we got a different, unique subject for you guys today. So the main topic that we wanted to emphasize today is cancel culture. The reason why we want to talk about that is that today, Ellen started again her, I believe, 18th season on TV with The Ellen Show, and she was going through some scandals during this summer and the quarantine and all that her employees of, I believe, racial background, that were African American, that basically weren't white, were going through or having a hard time. And they came out saying that it's not what it all is to work there. Just different things that you guys can read upon. We'll probably leave the link below, some of the things that they went through. And Ellen issued an apology for the work environment, the disadvantages that they had, and them not being treated well. So we wanted to get into different things around cancel culture and answer a couple questions. Is it a real thing? Is an apology just enough? What are the best steps going forward, to prevent something like this, and, for someone to be forgiven or redeemed, and just answer questions around that. So we'll start with the first question, which is cancel culture a real thing? And I'm not sure who wants to go first.
I'm going to let Manny go first. Go ahead, Manny P.
Manny P, is cancel culture a real thing?
Cancel culture being a real thing. I think it is a real thing nowadays. Actually, right before the podcast, I saw, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the brand Gymshark, or I think it's called Gymshark.
Yeah.
It's like a fitness wear that right now they're being canceled, you can say, due to them not supporting the police. And they're not supporting pretty much their lives or the respecting of their protection, which a lot of people are have that position right now. I think so. It is a real thing. I think I guess that's the question. The simple answer is yes, it is a real thing, I think.
Okay. Oscar, is cancel culture a real thing?
I'm gonna say that it is a real thing, just for the very fact that we have social media, and since we put everything, all the news is on social media. Every person with influence is on social media. I mean, if you don't have social media, I mean, are you even, let's say, part of our generation or part of the world, what it means to be part of what everything is happening in the world? Like, everyone has social media, and because of that, social media has the power to literally do anything that it wants based on how we lead it to be. So with this, with the Ellen, I don't know if we're going to talk about the Ellen DeGeneres like more in detail, but I mean, with her things, there were obviously allegations. I mean, none of the things were actually confirmed per se only by the witness that were there experiencing this. But cancel culture is real just for the very fact that social media gives it that power. Social media created it, and because we're all on it, we just feed it, and unfortunately that's how it is. I don't agree with it because we don't know the positions of these people that are on these platforms. They have the influence, all of that. Obviously I think they should be held accountable, but more on a private side than an actual public thing. And once we start to, getting on social media and just putting people down, I think that's when cancel culture is just, it becomes toxic, like we're putting more toxicity into already a toxic situation, but yeah, it's real, to answer your question.
Yeah, I think you guys brought up some valid points. I would say that, yeah, cancel culture, is a real thing. Can someone be canceled? I'm not sure, when you are canceled, what that necessarily means or what the consequences of that, but we've seen different people, lose a position that they have on TV or on radio. I'm kind of on the fence when it comes to this, simply because I think being canceled or having the fear of being canceled brings I guess a pros and cons to it, because I felt like, especially with like the Me Too movement, a lot of the times the victims there didn't step up to say anything because they didn't feel like if they did come up and express exactly what happened, that there would be serious consequences to that, rather than them losing a role or them losing a position on something because no one was going to believe them. So I think in a way cancel culture brings this accountability for different networks, different TV, celebrity, radio personalities to be like, oh shoot, there is a possibility of me being exposed, which I think is a good thing. But also it's like, hey, what, I might as well tighten up and I might as well get my stuff together before I get exposed too, which is kind of like an ugly way of thinking of it. But in a way, it's like what was permissible, what was, what you could sweep under the rug before isn't going to be like that now. Because now, maybe the repercussions for Ellen are still ongoing, and there wasn't real, consequence for her. She is still doing TV. She is still getting paid, and we'll see how things turn out there. Maybe they get sued and they have to possibly settle like a lawsuit with these employees, or we're not sure how that's going to end. But I think there is a positive side to, cancel culture. Now, following with that question, let's get into, is an apology just enough? When someone is exposed, when someone does get canceled, is an apology just enough for them to come out like how Ellen did, or different examples like maybe Kanye West going on his rants and, saying something very insensitive racially, or, like Deshaun Jackson, who had some anti-Semitic, comments, or, when someone, in a way, and this is, I guess, the con side of it. It's like everybody's super sensitive, especially if you go to like someone who's a comedian and their job is to make fun of things. They say one wrong thing now and it's, oh my God, you're canceled. But in a way, it's like, hey, it's a joke. Is that permissible? Should they apologize? When someone is canceled, what they should do, what is the right thing to do?
I'll jump in. I want to add something to the last aspect as well, last question. I think like a deeper question also is like, how do you define cancel culture? I think everybody sees it a little bit different. For me, when I see cancel culture, I see, people getting together against a group by reading headlines. I think that in our culture and in our social media society, a lot of us don't really dig deep into certain situations, and we just take the surface for what it is, and we just read headlines, and then we follow as a group, and we just rah with each other instead of really looking to the deepness of the story and of the truth. And another thing is like, I had the style was like, is cancel culture new, or has it always been? I think honestly, as I've been thinking about it, I think throughout humanity, we've always tried to cancel one another for certain things that we see different on, you know what I mean? So as far as this question, as far as the apologies, I think me as a person, as I've learned and grown, I like to hear both sides. Whether you're Democrat, Republican, I don't care. Whether you're black or white, it doesn't make a difference to me. I try to hear both sides. And I think if you don't agree with someone's opinion, it's not your job to cancel them. You don't have to support them. You know, for example, like, why does Ellen have to be canceled, you know, in order for you guys to stop watching your show if you don't agree with her? I think it should be like a natural thing. If you don't agree with what she says, if you go against her beliefs, then you simply don't support her. You just don't watch it. And if you hear her out, if she apologizes, I think that the apology is the first step. To me, you have to apologize if you make a mistake. But I think that it's not just the apology; it's the actions following up with what the apology was. I heard I think it was a preacher say, like, Mike Todd said, like, trust is lost in buckets, but it's gained back in drops. So if someone loses your trust, so let's say if they get exposed from something they did in their past, yes, you deserve the right to question them and to expect an apology. But an apology is not enough. It requires a long time of constant, follow up in your actions. And I think that's where you can begin to see people regain that trust. So that's pretty much my take on that, on an apology.
Yeah, and to add on that, so I would say it depends on the situation, especially with the allegations that were with Ellen. It was the work environment. So, I would say some things, yeah, you should apologize, or some things it's okay for you to have an opinion. But when it comes to being at a disadvantage at your work, at your employer, wherever it may be, like I said, these are just allegations where we're going to wait to see exactly what happens. But say if it is true, then, they are changes that need to be made. It's something that you should apologize for, because just like, that one quote, with great power comes great responsibility. So if you are, the head honcho as Ellen is, you are going to be held accountable for such work environments. Why are you allowing such things? Someone being, I guess, treated differently because of their race, their skin color, how old they are, where they're from, how they speak, an accent, whatever the case may be. Some things are, they're just unacceptable. It just shouldn't happen. So like I said, we'll wait and see, but I think, there is a difference, just to clarify that. Go ahead, Oscar, if you want to go ahead and answer
Before you go real quick, I want to see, but before I want to see someone canceled, I want to see change. Like, I don't think canceling is enough. We're just ignoring the true problem, the real problem, just kicking them off the air or whatever it may be. I think, and even on like YouTube, and then it's like, I'll stop here, but it's like, where do you cross? Like, there's a line that you can't cross and you can cross. So having cancel culture, you're kind of like restricting people's beliefs. I've seen on YouTube where people get canceled, where, it's a fine line where you give people control to cancel somebody where, they may just have a different opinion.
Yeah. So to clarify the question again, make sure, because we'll answer a couple of the ones that Manny included in his. So is an apology enough? Does it justify the action that they did? What they said? Go ahead, Oscar.
I guess to bring context to this question, I feel that look at the position of Ellen DeGeneres, right? She's in a powerful position because she's had 17 seasons in her show. Is she going to be, let's say, canceled? No, I feel like she's going to still have the support of her fan following because she's had 17 seasons to gain all this, what she has. Is she going to, let's say, from all this, was another season not going to be shot? No, she's still doing it. And, I'm reading here the quotes. She sarcastically said her summer was, quote unquote, great because of what she went through. So she's obviously sarcastically, as a joke, and she is like a comedian. That's her background. She does comedy and making people laugh. And she sarcastically, was saying all these things from the very beginning, and like you said, is an apology enough? I don't think so. Do these people really, do you think that Ellen DeGeneres really cares about the workers that are going through this? I think it just got exposed and now she has to apologize for it. I mean, mostly I think the people in these positions of power, the people that have been in doing this for a long time, like another person would be, and I love this. I personally enjoy and support this person, Kanye West. Look at all the influence he has and his support. He knows that he can say whatever he wants, and people are going to support it. You know, like obviously people are going to come against it because not a lot of people like him. You know, either you like him or you don't. You know, there's some things that I disagree with what he says, but just because of his overall, what he's brought to me and the memories that I've made with Kanye West, especially more towards his music, that's why I enjoy seeing what he says and his take on things. But I don't think apologies are enough. I mean, I don't know what's enough, especially with people in Hollywood and are they different from us? You know, let's say someone that's in a position of a manager of a store, or let's say the president of the United States, like he's going to have his support and he can say whatever he wants. You know, is it enough? I don't think so. I mean, what is enough? I don't know. I really don't know. I can't tell you exactly what is enough, and for people to actually be like, okay, oh my God, like this person has changed, all this is happening. Like, I don't think so, man. It's a hard topic. It's a very sensitive topic, I gotta say, but that's my take on it.
Yeah, I think once again, you guys bring up valid points. To, I guess, summarize the question and move on to the next question that we have regarding this is, ultimately, I think it's up to the person, because I think we have people who understand and recognize what they said and choose to make, like Manny said, corresponding actions that, would help them with their ignorance, as far as, a comment that they said, something that was insensitive, or an action.
Well, what can they do? What can they do?
Okay, we'll bring it up in this example. So with Ellen, if you're having an environment where you're being exposed and, there's some racial injustice, or, someone is not being treated equally, then it's your job to investigate. It's your job to make sure that you in place a standard, that you in place, you take it to your own responsibility. If the people that you have in charge, obviously you delegate, she obviously can't overview or oversee everything that's going on, but you chose the people, to delegate exactly what's going on. And I'm not sure about you guys, but, I've been in some work environments, not to the point where someone is getting treated unjustly because of the color of their skin, but I guess to us is, it's something that's kind of like, it's inhumane to hear something like that. Like, we're in 2020 or 2019, whenever it happened, and you're still getting treated unfairly because of the color of your skin or whatever the case may be, then you apologize, but then you also take into action of, hey, this has to change. This is unacceptable. And like I said, it's up to the person if they want to take it, to that extent. Or someone like Kanye West, who said something, of course I would like to think that, we all, mess with Kanye and we think he's awesome. There are some things that are kind of, maybe he just needs to educate himself more. And that's just part of being human, and just saying, hey, I don't know it all. I may have said something out of ignorance that I wasn't really educated on, but now maybe it was insensitive, or whatever the case may be, but now I'm going to educate myself just to make sure that I am, just like you said, he is a person of influence. So what he says, someone is going to hear and go off with it and, make an argument or justify an action that they have because of something of, with a person of influence said. So I think, like I said, with great power comes great responsibility, and you're going to say these things, and whether if you feel like you're right or wrong doesn't necessarily make it, doesn't necessarily make it okay for you to say certain things. So I think it's just about and like I said, it's up to the person whether if you want to recognize you're right or wrong. I think with Kanye, we see certain times where he's just like, you're not going to change my mind on this. This is what I believe. or at least when it comes to Trump before, it was where he says, I ain't going to let anybody tell me who to vote for or not, which is okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I guess in this, cancel culture, I guess it all depends on the situation and, the details and what exactly happened. But, in this day and age, it's 2020, it's just for something racially or like race based or because of, a different demographic, there's no way that you should be treated unequally or not. So we'll move on. Another question that I think is very interesting that we see a lot in cancel culture is not something that happened today or in the past couple of weeks, but we see people who may have tweeted something 5 years ago. We see this a lot with like football players. They say the N-word in their tweets or whatever, or they just say something, ignorant, racially based, or maybe homophobic that comes up in an interview that they had before or a tweet or on a Facebook post. And then people find it and then they use it against them and they're like, boom, you're canceled. You said this, you're racist, you're homophobic, you're misogynistic. And that's another event that happened with this lady in ESPN where there's this radio personality, Dan McNeil, and he says a bunch of comments about her outfit. And we'll get into that later. So that will be the thing that we went with. But at least things in the past, should that be held against you? Should you apologize for that? Is that fair to the person when it happened years ago?
So I'll jump in here. I think any of us, I think we all agree if we've said things in the past that we regret or that we have grown from and that we won't say ever again, or we won't act like we have before. I know I've said so many things in the past that that my ideas and the way I've grown, I would never speak those words I'd like ever again. So I mean, I think we have to be held accountable for the words that we've spoken, especially when you have a platform or if you have an audience where people look up to you. You know what I mean? I think we do have to be held accountable for our actions, but I think we all have to give each other a little area of grace as well. I believe. My belief is that, if someone says something in the past 5 years ago that may have been against, my beliefs, which are, I'm anti-racism, anti-homophobic. I believe that everyone should, have an open mind and be able to, relate with each other and get to know each other before we judge each other. But I mean, if someone had made, let's say, a homophobic comment, let's say 5 years ago, I think that's a really bad thing to do. I think I would never agree with that type of comment. But I would allow that person to have an apology. I wouldn't cancel that person immediately. I would, try to have a conversation with that person. Or if they're in another level where I can have a conversation with them, allow them to put out a statement. I mean, it's a really difficult situation because I know specifically me, there's things where it may have not been as bad as that, but I've said things where maybe I've hurt someone's feelings, or I've said something on Twitter about an ex-girlfriend or about an old friend. Where you subtweet somebody, and I know that I want that grace handed to me or extended to me, the same way that I would, have to give it to someone else. So I think we should be held accountable for actions of the past. We should be checked on them if we've said something that has been, that's been exposed. But I think at the same time, we should allow people to have, a grace where they can apologize and they can, again, build that trust back up. I don't think they should be immediately canceled because we all have different opinions and we all grow over time.
I mean, look, to jump on this, I'm going to play the devil's advocate because, I mean, I totally agree with Manny. Like, extending grace, those are my beliefs. Giving people the benefit of the doubt is my core beliefs. But at the end of the day, these people are in position of power, of influence. I think everyone deserves accountability, but these people even more because they can literally do whatever it is that they want to do. Whatever it is that they want to do because they have the money, the influence, the power. They can do whatever they want. And these people need to be held accountable for their mistakes on another level. Just because I feel like some of them actually are in these positions because they're there because let's say someone put them there or or they let's say they didn't just trip into this place. They forcefully put themselves there. They got themselves to where they're at. Most of these people, and not only that, but a lot of them grew up to where they're at right now. And us look at why do we want to cancel them? Because we feel that these people are so influential, so powerful, and they're not being held accountable to it. And people get upset. Obviously we're on our phones, we're on our computers, and we're looking and we're upset that these people can say whatever it is they want. And let's say on our side, right, we can't say whatever we want, especially in our circle of people or whoever you hang around. We can't say whatever we want because then we're going to be judged on it. We're going to be put down for it. And then these people on the opposite side, they can say whatever they want and nothing happens to them. Up until obviously social media has given us the power to, tweet away, comment away, whatever it is. And then, it's like we hold this sense of power to say, yo, that's not right. This is not right. I don't like that. Especially with these people that have millions of followers, millions of dollars, a bunch of influence. They can say and what they say has so much impact on our world. Let's say on the entire planet. So I think that's why these people are going through what they're going through. But
I'm about to jump in real quick. The thing is, like, I don't real quick. I disagree with that just because we give these people their influence, and how I see is I want to live my life. And I want people to live their lives pretty much with the expectation that your influence to your little sister, your little brother is actually more important than that football player that you get, like they have influence. So for example, like what you tweet out, you might influence way more your brother, or he may see you as a way bigger influence than some random football player. So I mean, these guys have, let's say, bigger influence, but it's just context. Some people don't even know who they are. You know what I mean? And I think you should live your life not like, I'm really nobody. I have 300 followers, so I can literally say whatever I want and just start tweeting away. And then you will never get canceled. And if you do, it's by, one person. You're like, whatever, it doesn't even matter. 299 followers, unfollow me. Like, doesn't even matter. But then we have these people that have millions of followers where, yes, some of them work towards it, but some of them just stumbled upon it. Some people just, they never knew they were going to be at this point. They're in, they couldn't even imagine it. And then we're canceling them, we're judging them, but we literally just did the same exact thing. And I think an example of it's like Montrezl Harris from the Clippers. Mm-hmm. You guys see that? What happened? He literally blew a 3-1 lead, and people were bashing them. And they're like, yo, why are we getting bashed? This and that. Like, people are making fun of them for blowing a 3-1 lead. He goes the next week, and he goes on Twitter and starts bashing the Atlanta Falcons for giving up a lead, and everyone's saying, like, bro, you just did what you did. How are you going to bash a team that blew a lead when you just blew a lead? And that's how our culture is. We will literally go and disrespect someone be disrespectful to someone in the grocery store. And we go on Twitter and we see freaking Kanye West disrespecting somebody. And we'll be like, oh, cancel Kanye. Yo, you got to check yourself. Why don't you cancel yourself? Why don't you reflect on yourself, and extend that grace?
I mean, if I can interrupt, why we do it is because we want to feel powerful. I mean, I'm going to play the devil's advocate. Like, my perspective on why I'm going to be tweeting away or saying something to somebody else is because I want to feel powerful. So when I'm judged, right, in my world, I feel like I'm judged 20 times harder than someone in a position of power, like, let's say, Trump.
How?
He's being judged, right, from what? From a couple 1,000 people or 100,000 people that are saying, oh, you're doing this wrong as a president. But does he really care? I mean, he doesn't. He doesn't.
But they don't just say, oh, you're being a bad president. They say, we want to kill you and your family because you suck at being a president. I mean, it's a different level.
I mean, that's death threats. Like, that's a whole, for me, it's like cancel culture is not death threats.
They're pretty much saying, we want you out of your job. We want you broke. We want you with no money. We want your entire career to go down to crap. And we want you can't even support your family with your career. So it's like, for example, you tweet something and they go, yo, Oscar, you know what, bro?
Are they really, though? Are they really going to be broke? They're not going to be broke.
It depends.
Some people are.
It depends, because at least in this case, you can't get kicked out of being, the president unless you get, I'm not sure how the
Impeached.
process is, but he did get impeached, but it it didn't get to the point where he got removed as president.
Yeah.
You know,
But there's been NBA players who have made a small mistake, like smoking weed on Instagram in high school or during the college prospect time, and they were literally canceled by culture, and they made a mistake
They get kicked
with
out
a
of their
girl.
team.
What?
They get kicked out of their teams.
No, before they even made it to the league, let's say they make a mistake on Instagram or something from their past comes out, they made a mistake or they had something with a girl or something, they made a mistake. They literally get canceled and they lose their dreams.
No, they don't get canceled by culture. They literally can't go to their team
culture.
because of their mistakes. They can't be on a team. They can't get
That's
paid.
literally getting canceled, bro.
But no, it's not.
How is it not?
How is that cancel culture? How are you gonna? That's literally
Because
somebody tweeting,
cancel
this
culture
person
is
did
when you-
this.
Okay.
Okay, because of this person doing this, and you're tweeting away, and then you want to cancel them on social media. You want people to stop following them. You want people to stop supporting them. These people, because of their mistakes, they can't be on teams. If you smoke weed and you get tested,
No, that's not what you were talking about. Like Laramie Tunzel, the Miami Dolphins. He was supposed to be a top 5 pick. He dropped to the 14th pick because someone exposed him on Twitter of an old video that he never released. Someone hacked his information or had a video saved. They blackmailed him, put it on social media. He dropped down to the 14th pick. It's not that big of a deal. Hold on. That's millions of dollars that he just lost because of something so stupid that
it's just like us when we go to a job, right? And we get interviewed by someone, and they actually go through a process where they can look through your Facebook, through your old posts, through your new posts on Instagram, and they can see if you're a good candidate for the job. So yes, if your stuff gets exposed and you made a mistake, you deserve. It's gonna get pulled up. Let's say.
If you go for a job interview for a sales position, and they go on your Instagram. And they see you smoking weed on your street.
3 years ago smoking weed, then
they should fire you.
Yes.
Why?
Because that's literally them seeing a potential working person coming into their business, their professional business, and knowing that this person may or may not smoke weed.
But what does having to do with your sales? Your sales work.
Okay, but here's the thing with what you guys are saying. I guess there's truths to both sides of this, because obviously, hey, maybe you shouldn't be canceled for something that you did 3 years ago, 10 years ago when you were underage, when you were younger than 18. But then as a brand, as an NFL team, who you're going to cost them money, who you're going to cost them a lot of things, a lot of variables to think about, you may not necessarily want to take the risk, which is, I believe, justifiable, because at the end of the day, everybody's thinking about their pockets, and a lot of these big companies, sports teams are just thinking at the end of the day, do I want to deal with a player like Antonio Brown, who was literally just went nuts? Maybe he does have psychological issues that he needs help on, but a lot of the stuff he just went on social media, just going crazy.
Didn't he get like there were allegations on him hitting?
Yeah, he had sexual allegations that came out.
Would you take a gamble on someone like that?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
That's cancel culture.
There's truth to both sides. Obviously that's a crime. That's not even cancel culture. That's a crime.
Exactly.
But the thing is, it was never proved that he actually did it.
Well, but then again, that's what I'm saying. There's two truths.
There's still investigation going on, I think.
There's two truths to this. So yeah, maybe he's not guilty of it, but at the same time, you as an employer, you who is about to cough up, 10, 15, 16 million dollars, a year for a player that possibly, made a mistake, and you just don't know, are you willing to take that risk? No. But at the end of the day, at least when it comes to social media, you know what you sign up for. Like, you choose to make everything public. You chose to tweet what you tweet. You choose to share what you wanted to share, whether if it was in the past or it is present. You knew what you were doing when you tweeted or what you said or what you posted public. And you have to want the smoke with all that. If you choose to be an internet personality, a football player, whatever the case may be, and you choose to make your life public via social media or, through interviews or whatever the case may be, you better be ready to catch all the smoke, with what you say. Or, something more, I guess, lightly is like when, one of these players say that, oh, just like when LeBron and the big three got together in Miami Heat and they said, not one, not two, not three, not four, not five. You said that. Now you better be ready to back it up. If not, people are going to bash you on it. People are going to hold that against you. And you said you were going to give me 7. You only gave me 2. Whatever the case may be, you just have to be, what you signed up for. You have to be, understanding of that. And if you choose, you got to have, as we say, the same energy through everything. Just as you had that energy to say what you said, you got to have the same energy to ready to be issued or to issue an apology, to say you messed up, to educate yourself, and be like that in everything. Not just make a bold statement and just be like, yeah, about that. Well, that was 10, 15 years ago. You can't hold me against that. Obviously, maybe you made a mistake, but at the end of the day, someone catches you on that mistake, you got to own up to it. You got to take responsibility. And that's something
bro, don't you think
comes with
low key? Don't you think low key like cancel culture, like they don't always keep the same energy? Like I have a prime example, like the thing with LeBron James, right? Have you seen like what happened with Bronny James? That he put a video
got caught
smoking weed at 15
weed
years old.
on Instagram.
Bro, if that was, I'm not gonna say names, but that was another famous person that their son got caught, let's say smoking weed, like as 15 years old, they would have got bashed, but because it's like LeBron James and because it's like that culture where I think a lot of LeBron James fans and they don't really care about people smoking weed, like it's not a big deal to them. It's not a big deal to me. That situation's not a big deal to me, except that he's underage. But like they're not the same. I feel like if it was another celebrity, of another kind, or let's say the president, his son was smoking weed, like it would have been done completely different. That's why I don't agree with cancel culture in that aspect. Like you said, if you keep the same energy all the time, you cancel yourself, you cancel your mom, you cancel your brother, you cancel Trump, you cancel LeBron for all their wrongdoings, bro, go for it. But you can't. I think, my opinion, I'm not here to pick and choose who I cancel depending on how I feel. That just is not right to me.
Yeah, of course. I mean, in that case, he was #1 trending on Twitter when that happened, which is when they were playing the Nuggets. I believe it was Friday night. Yeah, it was that Friday night when he took out that video of him smoking weed and he said, "We're smoking that nugget pack today." But that's, once again, that's why I say,
lives in LA,
we all were doing stupid things at that age, but the difference between Bronny and us is that we just weren't dumb enough to post it on, or we were smart enough not to post it on our social media. Or
smoking weed here in LA it's
but
normal. It's
okay,
like smoking a
15 years old.
He wasn't okay, but he wasn't canceled per se. But obviously, he came up to be what's it called?
A trending.
Yeah, a trending topic about LeBron's parenting. Why is he smoking weed? Then you obviously have like the more liberal side to things, where like, oh my God, J.R. Smith. They're making jokes like J.R. Smith gave him that pack, or LeBron is gonna ask Bronny where he got the weed from, and then they like show a picture of J.R. Smith. And obviously, there's those people who probably let their kids smoke and they don't really care, But then again, it's like,
there's some countries that allow drinking at a young age.
It's like Antonio Brown situation. For example, Antonio Brown was never proven guilty of his actions yet. If he is, he is. Bronny James committed a crime live on social media. He freaking smoking weed underage. That's a crime, literally. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, obviously, because he's smoking weed, but it's still a crime. He posted on social media, and his dad's probably one of the most famous people in the world.
Is it still a crime if you have adult consent?
Yes, it is a crime if you have adult consent. Your parents will go to jail for that too, because you're allowing a minor to smoke.
So even a minor drinking in your,
if you go to a house and the minor is smoking weed, the adults can go to jail.
Well, I'm pretty sure they have, expensive lawyers that
That's what I'm saying. Like that as a culture, I mean, it's like we always like we take what's normal to us now. Like, for example, let's say 10, 15 years ago, if that would have happened, bro, dude, that dude would have got, probably LeBron would have been out the league because smoking weed wasn't normalized back then. Now, because it's legal and because we've normalized it, which I don't mind, like, now we're like, whatever, it's whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's same thing happened with racism, bro. Racism was normalized before, right? And they would just act the same way. Oh, he has a slave. Oh, okay, whatever. Is that okay? I'm not comparing slavery to smoking weed, but I'm just saying, like, the mindset of judging people for action when you don't agree with them, I feel like you just have to be open minded. Like, I mean, it's just there's levels to it, but as far as cancel culture, man, like, I want to cancel culture. That thing's whack, bro.
Yeah,
I
because
want us to be open minded and have conversations.
yeah,
We show each other out.
yeah, some issues are obviously moral issues, and then there's some that, at least in this case, like smoking weed, in some states it is legal. I guess the problem here is that, he is underage, and, if that's a law that you can't smoke weed at a certain age, obviously, you have to be held account, to that. Doesn't mean you should be canceled. I mean, the good thing for Bronny in this case is that he's still young and he's still playing high school basketball, and we'll see exactly if there are any repercussions.
Would that affect him? Would that affect him as a?
I mean, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm not really sure, and I guess it's like it's hard to prove. They could really say, "Oh, that was photoshopped," or whatever the case may be. I'm pretty sure there's a loophole where he can get out of this, and by the time the season starts, he gets a drug test, and it's not even in his system, and then it as if it never happened. But then again, it's just kind of like in what I was saying earlier. You choose to post what you post. You chose to have an Instagram, a Twitter, a Snapchat, whatever the case may be. And you just better be ready for the smoke. Whether if you think it's okay, there's going to be probably a lot of people who disagree with that and are going to get ready to bash you. And you're just going to have to deal with it. It doesn't necessarily mean you deserve to be canceled, but you might get repercussions with your opinion or what you say. In this case, what I think is very significant is that some of them are moral issues as far as like racism, being homophobic, being misogynistic, having that type of prejudice against somebody is just unacceptable. And then there's a lot of issues where it's just kind of like, whether if you accidentally post a picture of your privates, like with this guy, Chris Evans, or like in this case, Bronny, where he got caught smoking weed. It's not like, oh my God, he needs to be canceled for that. But, I guess it all depends on the situation. I think what Ellen, did as far as issuing apologies is a step in the right direction. But for sure,
not going to be canceled.
Yes, I mean, then again, we're not sure exactly.
There's LeBron.
When she is a white lady here in America, so who knows? Maybe she gets away with it. But a
lot of white people have been canceled.
Yeah, no, of course. They're like the Clippers owner, Donald Sterling, who said that racial remark. He ended up selling the team or gave up the team because, think about it. You said that racial remark, and your whole team is African Americans, black people that
because racism is a sensitive topic. I think that's why I guess you can say they're held to another bar. The bar goes even more higher. Like you were saying, everybody keep the same energy. It's just there's some things that you just can't keep the same energy on. Like racism right now, because of everything that's happening in the world, especially in the United States, where social media is, our leading force on information. You are going to get canceled because of those remarks. Like are like anything with racism, you are going to be automatically canceled.
It's unacceptable. It's not even a point of.
It's not like you smoking weed on on our show.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that depending on the situation, should factor in on the consequences of what happens next to you. Like if it's a racial issue, if it's a crime, if it's just an insensitive comment that, like I said, in Ellen's case where people are being treated differently or not getting the same opportunities, whatever the case may be, that's just unacceptable. Like there has to be repercussions. There has to be consequences to that. Obviously, if you get caught smoking weed or you post something that, it just makes you look bad, you know, obviously you don't deserve to lose your job. You don't deserve for that to be, you know, pinned on you for the rest of your life. You know, whether if you made a tweet back in the day and you recognize, hey, that was insensitive, that was ignorant, I apologize and I move forward, then yeah, of course. But I
I
just
have a
think it all
question.
depends on the situation, the details. But I think, and cancel culture is bad, but then I think there are some pros to it. It keeps everybody accountable, is what I'm trying to say. So to the next question, as we're ending this, and we'll end here. What are the next steps? After you issue an apology, what is the right thing to do in this case? Is it just an apology and that's it? We'll do some extremes, but or at least we can say on our part, what do we expect when someone does make a mistake? I'll say it like that. What would you say? Hey, someone like Ellen, someone who got canceled for something serious, not obviously Bronny, stop smoking weed, Bronny. Like Stephen A says, stay off the weed. It's as simple as that. Or just don't post it, you freaking dumbass. But, that's here nor there.
Isaac, you need
But
to edit that.
no, that's fine because you are I'm not gonna say it again because he's a kid, but as a kid, I needed to hear that too. Like, Isaac, you're a dumbass. Like, why would you do that? So we all need to hear that. Not saying that Bronny's gonna hear this, but maybe he does. It's all right. You move on.
Everyone
But something.
smokes weed in LA. It's not even funny. Everyone.
All right,
does.
but he's a kid. All right,
Oh,
he's a
buddy, you
kid,
can't
and you
do
shouldn't be
that.
posting that.
Oh,
Anyways,
everyone's
but
That's
dreams.
why he posted it, though. I feel like that's why he posted it. He didn't
no,
care.
he made a
Everybody's got
mistake.
hacked.
He probably tried to do that on his close friends, and he pressed the your story. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. He got
That's
caught. He
hilarious.
Probably.
posted that on his close
That's
friends, what he
hilarious.
was trying to do, but he got caught. But we'll finish with this, what I was saying. What do you expect with someone who does get canceled for something legit, or someone does make a mistake? What do you think that person should do? And, just go from there.
But going back to my statement, I don't want to get canceled, and I maybe articulated my words incorrectly, and like about 2 minutes ago. I'm not comparing smoking weed to racism. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm comparing it is just a mindset. I think there are obviously there's levels morally. When you're smoking weed, that's a decision you're making upon yourself. When you're being racist, you're literally putting others down, whether that's being racist, homophobic, sexist. Those type of things are unacceptable and should never be accepted in our society. But that for me, I'm gonna answer two things. I'm gonna make one more statement. For me, the danger with cancel culture is that you give these social media platforms. So cancel culture is not just Oscar goes online to Isaac and says, "Yo, bro, f this guy, take his Instagram down." No, it's not that. You're getting a power to the tech titans, the Twitters, the Instagrams, the Snapchats, the TikToks. You're giving these platforms the ability to remove people's opinions and thoughts. So, for example, if Kanye West, he has a lot of opinions. Donald Trump, he has a lot of. These guys have a lot of opinions. If you cancel them, if you allow cancel culture, then pretty much what you're doing is you're allowing these Instagram posts and these people to take down their opinions, and because they think different than you. Now, when it comes to being racism, when it comes to being homophobic, sexist, then I think you deserve a punishment. I haven't thought out well what that punishment should be, but I think it's weird that, bro, if I have a famous rapper and he makes a racist comment, I'm not gonna listen to him anymore. I'm not gonna take the time out of my day to tell all my friends, "Yo, bro, don't listen to that guy no more. If you listen to him, then you're supporting him." No, I'm just gonna take my actions and be like, "Yo, bro, change to the next guy." And that's what's weird to me. Like Ellen, people are gonna watch her. So like people that are her supporters, right? Like, why does she have to be taken down from the TV to not watch her? Like, if she's a racist, if she truly is a racist, or she's someone that you should don't support her ideas, just change the channel. Like, you don't have to like necessarily just remove her channel. Let it die by itself. Let's show up as a society, as a culture, and be like, look, we're not going to support that, and let's walk away from that situation. And as far as the again to the actual question, the apology, man, it's a tough thing. Like I said before, what should they do? What does it have to be done? It just has to be consistency in their actions. I know, like, I've been reading like a lot of Malcolm X books. I've been reading like both sides of the Democratic and Republican Party because of what's going on right now with these two candidates as being our president options. I don't see how they are. I don't agree with both of them really. At the end of the day, one morally and then one politically. I mean, it just makes no sense to me. But I wouldn't cancel Biden or Trump. Let's just get into it. Because of their different opinions. But if one has a racist, let's say for example, a lot of people say that Trump is a racist, and while I've read his documentary, I've read different sides of both stories, and there was an allegation. I don't know if you guys know. I'm getting like a little bit extended, but I'll finish quick. There's an allegation that his father and him were not allowing black people or people of color to rent apartments inside their apartment building, and it's actually they went to court for it, and they actually had to do a plea deal, and they actually were pretty much proving that it was the truth. So once I had heard that story of Trump, my view of him changed a lot. And I'll be honest, I supported his like the way he ran the country as far as his trade deals, his idea of how America should be great. I never supported his weird rants or his going off on people. I don't think that's anything that anybody should do, not just the president. But now for me, like that was like 25, 30 years ago. But for me, I'm not canceling him, but I want to see the actions, that support him saying that, you know what, I'm not a racist. I'm not against blacks. And for me, like I've seen a couple actions that have led to, maybe helping the, police reform. I'm sorry, the prison reform. I've seen people come out, and speak upon him that are African American. Now, but he has to continue to prove that to me. It's kind of like a stigma that he will always have in far as me. Like he has to continue to prove himself. And I think as a person that makes a mistake, like for example, if I do something, bad to one of you guys, where I lose your trust, I think as a person, I have to, accept that and be like, you know what, that's my stigma, and let me prove to them wrong every single day. So at the end of the day, Ellen, she has to prove constantly on a day in and day out basis, to her fans and to people that watch her that she's not doing those things anymore. I think it's a forever process. It never ends. Mike Todd was saying that with his wife, like I think he cheated on his wife, if I'm not mistaken, and he says that look, he accepted as a man. I made a mistake, and he said that I had to die to myself, I had to lose my pride, and to this day, I have to prove to my wife that I'm faithful to her, and it never ends. Once you lose that initial trust, it's a constant fight, and if you're not willing to fight that constantly, then you're not willing to, you shouldn't have the voice anymore, the audience.
That's true. All right, Oscar. 3.
Yeah. To go off of that what was the exact question again?
So, what would you expect, or what would you want to see with someone who fits all the criteria to be canceled? Like, what do you expect them to do? What's the next rules? Like
after, like, let's say after they apologize and
yeah,
stuff.
like put yourself in their shoes. You get canceled and you recognize, hey, you're wrong. What should they do other than apologize?
I mean, I think there's power in numbers, and the reason why we get on social media and want to cancel these people is because these people, and I'm going to repeat it again, they have an unlimited amount of influence, and they say whatever it is they want the majority of the time. And when they say something extreme that you're like, oh my gosh, that's the moment everyone comes together and says, look, we're going to take this person down, because they're just going off and no one is stopping them. So I think what they could do, or let's say what I would want them to do, is on a day in, day out basis on their platform to be consistently apologizing or referencing their mistakes and saying, look, I'm going to be accountable for this. I'm going to do this and this and this. I mean, our president obviously has a position and power to make legislative changes. So, he's a little in a different position, I guess, than Ellen. Ellen DeGeneres just has a show, and she can, on her show, she can say stuff and people get affected. Let's say people hear it. She really can't do that much except for her apology. maybe I would say be less sarcastic, even if you are a comedian. They were saying that she sarcastically was kind of like, that was her introduction, because she's a comedian, she had to sarcastically say everything that she was going through. And if you watch the interview, you kind of do get that feeling that she was like, I did it, but it's still an investigation. Look, I'm going to look into it. I apologize for all the bad stuff, but it's like, what else can she do? She really can't really do much after that. I mean, maybe I would want her to be like on every show, to be on, let's say, the first 5 shows, to be like, hey, like I said, I have an introduction or something and apologize for it, but then that would be weird. Maybe on Twitter, keep apologizing to people or maybe answering people on Twitter that are going against her and being like, hey, look, I'm sorry that this was going on in my show, and people seeing that, which I'm pretty sure we would catch on Twitter, like her responding to people. Maybe that would be something. But with these people in positions of power, and I'll finish here, they have so much influence and power that some of them are not going to humble themselves, right, to do more than just a public apology, and sometimes how can you really, like, a public apology, what does that give to the people? Almost next to nothing, I think. I saw her apology. I watched the video. I didn't really feel anything. I didn't feel some sense of compassion and, oh my gosh, we're going to forgive her. Like, she was being sarcastic. Like, I don't feel that she deserves, let's say, that sense of forgiveness from her apology. And I mean, we in our world, that's what's going on. Like, when we apologize, people don't want to just see an apology. Hey, I'm sorry. People want to see actions. But I really don't know. It's a tough thing. It's a tough thing.
That's like what Antonio Brown messed up, I think. Like, if you think about it, he was going off on everybody in the NFL, and all these people
he doesn't care.
And then, but then the Patriots were thinking about picking him up. He started saying how much he loved Bill Belichick and the Patriots way.
They picked him up. They picked
him up, but they let him go because, you know what? I believe that they realized that he was not really remorseful for his actions. Then right after he got released, he went back to the same old Antonio Brown, same tweets, same allegations again with his wife, videos. Exactly. So it's like, exactly. So I feel like in that situation, you can see one person who acted for their position, to get their position back, like, acted remorseful, but then their actions never ever added up to their remorse. Then they were officially canceled.
To get that timeline right, I think he got released, or the Patriots picked him up after he got released from the Steelers. The Patriots had him, then he went on. Then the allegations came up, and then I think that's when the Patriots released him, and then he went to – because he already had some toxic problems.
What happened was he got traded by the Steelers for being toxic, and then the Raiders picked him up, and then he was toxic to the Raiders too.
The Raiders, that's what it was.
Then they dropped him again. Then the Patriots picked him up because he was a changed man. Then after he got dropped again, he was all the same person the whole entire time. And that's where you say, you know what, bro, this guy, he doesn't have any remorse for what he's done.
Yeah. There's just some people in.
But I think the allegations came up, though.
Yeah, the allegations
with the Patriots. With
the Patriots, and then once I guess they heard before the NFL did, and that's when
that was my point.
They were gonna cut ends to it. Just to I guess put a ribbon to, or the icing on the cake with all this. I think, something to understand is that you always have power to do something. It just looks different for everybody. Just as Oscar was saying, whether if you're the president, you have the power to, influence a whole party. In this case, Donald Trump has the influence to, affect the Republican Party. And, there's things that he could do right and he could change with his power. Of course he does. With Ellen, someone of influence does have the power to do, not to justify it in this way, because I don't think you should be justifying the actions or the mistakes that you did, but rather just taking a stance of, hey, you know what, I messed up, having self-awareness, and I'm going to change. And she can do that, with changing the work environment, with, investigating the situation and what happened and making sure that doesn't happen again, that, everyone has equal opportunity, that there's no prejudice going on in the work environment. Or whether if it's just something personally, like what Manny's example of Mike Todd, you know, where infidelity, you know, I don't think it's something that you'll get canceled for, because it's something that in our society is so like, so I guess, what's it called? So used to it, you know, men being unfaithful to their wives, and it's just kind of like, oh well, there goes another man, you know, cheating on his wife, and you won't get canceled for it, you know. But he does have the powers and the actions to make that right in his relationship. So I think the important thing to understand is that you do have power, you do have a say, and you know, justifying the mistakes that you have made, to make sure that they don't happen again. But I think it just all depends on the person. You know, obviously we want to take a stance, or at least I always want to take a position where, you know, I think about it, I'm like, man, if this person who made a mistake reach out to me and they need help, instead of canceling them, I need to take a position of, you know, of people, you know, we all believe here, you know, in God, and we all have, you know, faith in him. So we're all people of faith. I think we always want to take a position of like, hey, he made a mistake. We all make mistakes. And just because that looks different doesn't make me better than him, doesn't make us better than that person. So I always wanted to, you know, take a position where, you know, anyone can reach out to us. And as long as you recognize, as long as you understand that you were ignorant in that moment, that what you said was wrong, or that you just take a position of repentance, then there is, you know, there's a window, there is, you know, a door there where you can make things right. But you always have power to change or to make things right. And I think that's something to understand, you know, whether if you're not a, you know, big celebrity or the president or whatever the case may be, you do have power to change things in your situation. And I always like to make this quote to people that I talk to. I'm like, your life isn't going to change by accident. Your life changes when you're intentional about what you do, what you say, and everything. So I think that's important to understand. You're not powerless. You have the power to, you know, change your situation, to make that mistake a right, and to just learn from it. So everybody, final thoughts, 30 seconds before we end it today. Great talk.
I think to tie it in, I had a crazy thought right now. I think it's what we're talking about towards the end of this conversation is kind of like the All Lives Matters and Black Lives Matters controversy. I think it's like same thing. Like Black Lives Matters is what we need to be saying right now. Why? It's not because all lives don't matter, because they do, but right now the black community needs to know that their lives matter, and we have to go above and beyond right now to focus on them because of what we've done to them in the past as a country. So that's what same thing like in this situation. When you make a mistake as a country, as a person, or as a celebrity, whoever you are, you know, you have to take the right upon you to say, you know what, I messed up. So we're gonna go above and beyond for the black community and show that we care and we love for them. And until that happens, we're not gonna see any change in this country.
That's true. Black Lives Matter. We do support that, but we also understand that not all police officers are bad. You know, there's always a bad apple, and that's, you know, in every profession. There's always crooked lawyers, there's always bad politicians, but there always are, you know, good people out there. So that's important to understand. Oscar, 30 seconds.
And these are the type of things that we should be doing, especially with all this going on. Having conversations, I think, is the most important thing. But to wrap it up, I think that cancel culture won't get a hold of us, whether it's real, whether you believe in it, right? The people watching us believe in it or not, or whether you say cancel culture is a real live thing, it happens. It doesn't take a hold of you if you take the humble route, right? I think that's the most important. If you take that stance of saying, okay, I'm just going to apologize for messing up, and whether the repercussions mean you're going to lose a following or you're going to lose influence or lose power, that doesn't matter. Just take that humble route, and cancel culture won't exist in a sense if you really think about it. It's a force that if you back it up with a humble route, I think it brings that perfect counterattack. So to those people that, you know, think cancel culture is real or not a real thing, I think taking the humble route is the best route for sure.
Yo, the Brodie'S is a culture, bro. The Brodie culture.
Brodie'S freaking show.
Manny almost cancel, but that's okay. But final thoughts here. Just as much as we want to hold each other accountable, which I think we should have the same energy to be open, to want to see the change in a person rather than just, hey, you're canceled, get out of here, you might as well just end your life. Let's not take that position, and let's take a
Definitely.
position of like, hey, just as we were so quick to hold you accountable and say you're wrong, let's have that same energy to say, hey, let's get this right. Let's see you in a better place. Let's see you become a better person, and let's educate ourselves in that. So that was this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please let us know. These are the kind of subjects that we want to get into, other than just sports, where, of course, we're always going to talk about that. But we want to hear your opinion. Write down in the comments what you think. Were we right? Were we wrong? We're always open to have a conversation, and that's what the Brodies are about. So we love you guys. We will see you soon. Manny, Oscar, any final words before?
Don't cancel us.
Don't cancel us, please. We just started.
Don't
cancel us, please. We're on the 3rd episode.
We're just getting started, and we're learning as we go. We're going to continue to educate ourselves. So we love you guys, and until next episode, peace on the streets.
On the streets.